Adamawa on red alert as measles claim 45 lives. DSS seals community clinic over alleged quackery death in Jos. Despite stable foreign exchange rates, Nigerians voice concerns over soaring inflation. On the foreign scene, Togo ruling party wins legislative vote in power extending boost for Nasimbe. Hello again and welcome to the news update at this hour on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the news in detail. The measles outbreak has taken a devastating toll on Adamawa North Senatorial District, with at least 45 confirmed deaths reported. Mobi and Gombe local government areas are the hardest hit by the epidemic, according to Felix Tangwame, the Commissioner for Health and Human Services in Adamawa State. Tangwame revealed this during a briefing with journalists following an Executive Council meeting, indicating that the outbreak has affected 8 wards in Mobi and 7 in Gombe, resulting in 45 fatalities out of 308 reported cases. In response to the crisis, Tangwame disclosed that all 21 local government areas except Lamurde have been placed on high alert. Despite the severity of the situation, he assured that the ministry has taken swift action to manage the outbreak effectively. Tangwame emphasized the collaborative efforts between the government and its partners in addressing the epidemic, highlighting their proactive stance in controlling the spread of the disease. Urging residents to prioritize preventive measures against measles, Tangwame stressed the importance of vigilance and proactive healthcare practices to mitigate the risk of further casualties. Tragedy strikes as 2 separate incidents of landmine explosions in Gamboru, Ngala, and Dikwa local government areas of Borno State result in the loss of 11 lives and injuries to 5 individuals within the past week. Among the casualties are 9 members of the Civilian Joint Task Force who perished in Gamboru, Ngala last Saturday, April 27, and 2 civilians who lost their lives on Saturday, May 14, in Dikwa. According to Bashir Abbas, the spokesperson for the Borno State CJTF, the fatal incident in Gamboru, Ngala occurred when their vehicle detonated a landmine suspected to have been planted by terrorists just outside the town, instantly claiming 9 lives and leaving 2 severely injured. In a similar vein, a Honda SUV traveling between Dikwa and Damno in Dikwa local government area encountered a landmine explosion, resulting in 2 deaths and 3 injuries, as confirmed by a reliable source from the Borno Police Command. The grim aftermath saw the remains of the deceased gathered in sacks for burial, underscoring the devastating impact of these explosions on local communities. The prevalence of landmine explosions, suspected to be remnants of past insurgencies or part of new terrorist tactics, poses significant challenges to civilian safety in conflict-affected regions. The Kebbi State Governor, Nasir Idris, says he will sign the death warrant against any informant who is caught volunteering information to bandits in the state. Idris gave the warning on Saturday during a sympathy visit to the residents of Tudun Bichi in Wasago Chiefdom of Danko Wasago local government area to condole with them on the recurring attacks by bandits. The governor, who was furious about the devilish acts of informants, threatened to approve the death warrant for any convicted informant. Idris gave an assurance that his administration would continue to provide the necessary support to the security agencies, with emphasis on logistics, welfare of troops, and other material requirements for combat readiness and operational successes. He accepted the request for immediate rehabilitation of the 3-kilometer road linking the village with Wasagu that has become impassable due to bridge collapse. The Department of State Security took action on Sunday, sealing Al Ihsan Clinic in Ungoan Rogo Community, Jos North, local government area of Plateau State. The closure follows allegations of quackery and the reported death of a patient who underwent treatment at the clinic. The demise of a woman last week, purportedly following surgery performed by Lukuma Abdul, has ignited controversy in the community, while many link the death to the surgery. Lukman denies any responsibility for the tragedy. Community sources reveal that the DSS intervened following complaints filed with the State Ministry of Health and the DSS regarding a light quackery at the clinic. Sadis Muhammad Al-Basu, a community member, highlights concerns over Lukman's lack of medical qualifications and his unauthorized performance of surgical procedures. Residents of Makadi, the Benue state capital, have decried the fuel scarcity currently racking the nation, saying it has worsened the cost of living facing Nigerians. Speaking with Trust TV's Jimmy Azande, they lamented that if the situation is not addressed as soon as possible, many may resort to extreme measures to survive. Let's take a look at the report.
Administration. Nigerians have had to deal with soaring prices of commodities, especially foodstuff, following the implementation of subsidy removal. The latest shortage of petrol has exacerbated the situation, with many resorting to alternatives to survive.
And then most people have decided to go and live with others. If you pay careful attention, you can see that for a long time now there has been a trend. They are no longer talking about education, it's how to feed, where to find shelter, and find food that could sustain their life.
Some commodities, according to the residents, have lost patronage because most households can no longer afford the basic needs of life, including food, shelter, and clothes.
Look at me, for instance. I graduated over 18 years ago, no job. I've applied 1,001 places, no job. But I had to fend for myself. I took up a business and God has blessed me. I'm a car dealer, I'm doing fine. All right? But in a way, it's telling on my business. Because I don't patronize myself. If he does not have, who is coming to petrol? Will I buy these cars and sell to myself?
With the cost of goods and services being partly blamed on high transportation fares, stakeholders in the sector have been urged to take the plight of ordinary Nigerians into consideration and reduce their fares.
We must not hike the transport fare before we make the business. What we are saying is that even at reduced transport costs, we can still achieve results. We can still maintain business. We can still continue in business. We should allow people to travel to their various destinations. We must not make money one day. We must not make money in 1 week.
With queues continuing to persist in fuel stations across Nigeria, despite the NNPC's assurance that the country has enough supply for an entire month, Benue residents are positive that measures will be put in place to address the plight of Nigerians. Jimmy Azande, Trust TV News, Makodi.
Increasing rate of unemployment has become a major catalyst for migration among Nigerian youth, both within and outside the country. To tackle the menace of unemployment, which has become a major source of concern, stakeholders want governments at all levels to take proactive measures. The report.
The pursuit of better opportunities often leads individuals to migrate from one location to another in search of employment. In Nigeria, there is a concerning trend of youths relocating from one state to another due to job offers, often without considering vital factors such as accommodation and transportation costs. One of the easiest targets for this kind of migration is Lagos State.
When you put wear and tear together, you will understand that you're better off earning less within your area of convenience than going so far away from home and destroying your health. Imagine somebody who lives in Mowe and works at Lekki. He will probably leave home 4 a.m. in the morning and get back home 10, 11 in the night. That fellow is dying gradually. And irrespective of what they are offered, it will not tally. So at the end of the day, it's a minus.
A state, for example, Imo State, how many industries do you have there? You have hotels everywhere. Not all of them are from hospitality profession, or what you call it. So, but here in Lagos, you have more opportunities. Then you have people already in Lagos looking for the job. Then another set of people are still coming to clamor for the same job. So there's a problem at hand. So that's where, as an individual, if you don't make yourself employable, it becomes a challenge. So, but when you are leaving your location to come to Lagos, you have to put some certain things into consideration. How much are they going to pay you? Do you have who to stay with here? If you're not coming to Lagos for a job of 200,000, you do not have anybody to stay. Are you going to sleep on that bridge? You have to rent an apartment. Or is it worth it coming down to Lagos to come and take a job of 200,000? You don't have anywhere to stay. Meanwhile, where you are coming from, you have a job of, let's say, 80,000. Compare the two. It's not worth it.
Despite these challenges, residents of Lagos State say Nigerians have the right to relocate to any state of their choice in pursuit of a better life.
Moving from one place to another in this country should not be an issue. The most important thing is that if you have clarified the kind of job and who is offering you the job, it's a better thing. And relocation also, the company that has employed you will also, one way or the other, make some provisions for you. I mean, somebody can leave Lagos and go and work in Calabar, can leave Calabar to come and work in Lagos. So Nigeria is such a very big country that we need to actually have an interface between the states, people to interact with.
Before they can decide to leave their state for other states, they might have considered so many things. But they have forgotten that crowdiness that they create in Lagos may even make life more difficult for them. They are just looking at the financial aspect. Other things that make life easy, they've forgotten. Because accommodation, some of them will just hang themselves somehow, and inevitably coagulating somewhere, the security men might misjudge their intention.
For many, entrepreneurship stands as a primary solution to this challenge, as overdependence on the government to create jobs will never solve the problem.
Still in the southwest part of the country and now to security matters, the Osun State Police Command has paraded a 65-year-old man for allegedly killing his 95-year-old mother following a dispute over a palm plantation. The suspect, during interrogation at the police headquarters in Osogbo, confessed to the crime. Hamido Yegbade has details of the story.
The ownership of the farmland has been an issue between the suspect, Lukman Odejoju, and his mother for years. The suspect said his late mother's refusal to grant him the rightful ownership of the farmland led to his decision to take her life. Odejoju confessed that he pushed his mother to the ground in the farm and killed her.
He dragged and dumped the deceased corpse in a nearby farmland of another person, so that they will think it's another person that killed the woman. During interrogation, the suspect confessed to the crime by saying that he killed the deceased in order to inherit a palm tree plantation, which is situated at Kajola village via Apom, Osun State.
The police also arrested another suspect, Akeem Adeniyi, for defrauding a resident to the tune of 4 million naira.
We managed to transfer the 2 million before the owner reported to the bank, and they blocked the account till on the 5th of April, when the person reported the issue to the police. Then the police tracked me and came to Lagos there to arrest me.
The police command found that the suspect will face the full wrath of the law. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
This is the news update on Trust Television. Still ahead, we'll take a look at a community in Kano known for its large population of blind people and their plight for survival. We'll bring you insights and details of this story and more after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. But if you're just joining us, this is the news update on Trust Television. Let's take a look at a recap of some of our top stories again. Adamawa on red alert as measles claim 45 lives. DSS seals community clinic over alleged quackery death in Jos. And out to more stories. Makafin Dala, as the name implies, is a community in Dala local government area of Kano State, densely populated by visually impaired persons. Despite having some people who are not visually impaired, the name of the community remains the same, as most of the visually impaired persons, numbering over 300, are still living in the area, as attested to by the Sarakin Makafin Kano. Trustee Luabatu Garba engaged the Sarakin Makafi on many survival strategies of his subjects, most of whom have one vocational skill or the other. The report.
One familiar with Dala area in Kano will understand that many visually impaired persons who bake in the neighboring areas like Gommaja, Kurna, Kofar Mazugal, Jakara, Koki and other areas were from Makapin Dala. What most people do not know about these people, however, is that apart from begging, they also earn a living through vocations such as knitting and carpentry. Even though they were trained on different vocations, they said due to government's inconsistency, they were abandoned and left with no hope in life than to continue with their begging. Ado Halila Abdul Karim is the Sarkin Makapin Kano, and he traced the history of Makapin Dala to the time of Emir of Kano Abdullahi Bayero, who reportedly gathered all the visually impaired persons of Kano and settled them in Dala.
At
that time, the visually impaired persons do nothing to earn a living except begging. That was until when the Kano state government decided to change the trend by sending some of them to be trained on vocational skills. I was among the first set of people to undergo training on vocational skills in Lagos and Enugu.
Muhammad Inua Nera Dubu said that he was among those that were trained on knitting in those days, but the center was closed down and they were disengaged, leaving them with no option than to beg for alms.
I was among those trained on knitting, but when the center was closed, we were not empowered in any way to start a business. This left us with no option than begging. If the government would revisit the idea of training the physically challenged persons, I am sure we will leave the begging forever.
Bye-bye. The community called on the government to look into their plight and reinstate those allowances and make education affordable to encourage the visually impaired children to attend schools and become better equipped for the future.
I single-handedly sponsored my 8 children's education. There was never a time I took my children to beg for alms. I pay as much as 50,000 naira, 40,000 naira, or 30,000 naira for school fees. As a visually impaired person from a less privileged family, I struggle to make ends meet every day. My ambition is to become a political scientist, but lack of sponsorship to further my education made me abandon school for begging. The state government has failed to support me in any way. The community calls on the government to look into their plight. I believe policies like allowances for people living with disabilities should be reinstated. Education has to be affordable to encourage the visually impaired children to attend school. Those who have a skill can be supported by linking them with right markets to sell their products.
The visually impaired alongside other persons with disabilities usually roam the streets and other public places in Kano seeking to be helped to survive.
On the international scene, Togo's Union for the Republic Party claimed a decisive victory in April's legislative elections capturing 108 out of 113 seats in the new assembly. As announced by the National Electoral Commission, this outcome comes amidst heated debate over constitutional amendments criticized for potentially prolonging President Faure Gnassingbe's tenure. The Electoral Commission reported a participation rate of 61%, with provisional results indicating UNER's overwhelming success. Under the newly enacted constitutions, Gnassingbe is poised to assume the role of President of the Council of Ministers, resembling a Prime Minister's position automatically conferred to the leader of the parliamentary majority. With nearly 2 decades in power, Gnassingbe follows in the footsteps of his father, Gnassingbe Adamawa, who governed Togo for almost 4 decades. Opposition parties have lambasted the constitutional reforms, labeling them as an institutional coup designed to circumvent presidential term limits and perpetuate the Gnassingbe family's political dominance. Previously, under the old constitution, Gnassingbe would have been restricted to 1 more presidential term in 2025. In sports, Team Nigeria have qualified for the Olympics in the mixed 4x400 meters punching an automatic ticket at the World Relays, finishing second in their heat with a time of 3 minutes 13 seconds. The quartet of Samuel Ugazi, Ella Onojuvevo, Chidi Okezie and Esther Elo Joseph brought round the baton to ensure Nigeria is guaranteed a place at the Olympics, finishing second behind Team United States of America, who won in a championship record of 3 minutes 11 seconds. And that concludes the news update at this hour on Trust Television. Remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for our news, programs and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for your time.